this is your band. This is your band.
In the early 80s, yes.
Yeah.
Because the resurgence happened. The Rolling Stones cover happened in 1980. That was my freshman year of college. So I have a serious question to ask you.
Please.
You know how pale, wanton, thrillful comes death on a strange hour? Unannounced, uncalled for, unplanned for, like some scaring, overbearing guest you brought to bed. Death makes angels of us all, with shoulders smooth as raven's claws. That's all I can remember.
You did that as a monologue in like a Stellar Adler acting class, didn't you? I felt it for a moment. I was like, that dude is dialed in.
No, that was the American Prayer was the one that came out my sophomore year, and I bought that and I loved it. You know, and Robbie Krieger was, you know, it's all obviously posthumous, but you know, they're laying down all the music to it. It was so fucking cool. But yeah, I knew that. Oh, you know, you guys remember this one. Her cunt gripped him like a warm, friendly hand. Shit like that. When you're in college, it's just like, oh yeah, this is the real college experience I'm having.
That's actually written on my Aunt Gertie's tombstone.
By the way, I was going to say grandma.
Which is crazy. It's insane that they guys had the same thing.
A lot of people don't know she was the inspiration.
So you're saying in college this started, or was it high school?
Yes.
I might have misheard. So what was it? What attracted you? Why did you suddenly be just like, how are you suddenly on this podcast with every record being able to recite every line? What did you dig?
Well, because I guess because they were rediscovered. What year did the Danny Sugarman book come out?
Morty?
I don't know. I probably I want to say like either like 78 or like 80, 81.
Well, it would have been probably 78 or 79. So probably with the Danny Sugarman book, No One Here Gets Out Alive, that's where the resurgence of interest probably happened. Okay. So because this is before any movie or whatever, so that book probably had a big difference. So I don't remember, of course, you know, in college you're going to get exposed to new music, and I can't remember, well, this was old music, but I can't remember if it was someone on the dorm floor that had a Doors album or something like that, or if they started getting more airplay. I don't remember the inciting moment, but once I was in, I was in. I was subscribing to Rolling Stone, so that might have had something to do with it. Because remember, what is it? He's hot, he's sexy, he's dead, right? Dude, that was on the cover. That was on the cover of Rolling Stone. I had the fucking silkscreen of Morrison from one of these fucking the one where he's naked, outstretched, wearing his leather pants that must have smelled like heaven.
Please tell me you had a Doors Blacklight poster.
Not a black.
I mean, come on, dude.
I had a silkscreen, a huge 6x6 silkscreen that I had taken back home over at some course of my college and left it there because I'd forgotten about it. Years later, after my parents sold their house to one of my childhood friends and his daughter bought the house, he found that silk screen that I had glued to a 1-inch dowel rod to make it hang better. Because you remember, the big silk screens, they just sag. So. No one here gets out alive.
Please tell me you still have the silk screen, or is it now?
No, it's so he has it. I said they can have it because I thought, you know, that might be fun for them. They may have thrown it away. Although I will see them the first week of July because I'm taking my whole family back to Tipton for the 4th of July. My kids have never blown off fireworks. We've always been here for the 4th of July.
Oh, that's that's like the whole thing. And I'm not just talking about, you know, sparklers and snakes. You got to blow off the ones where you might lose a finger. You know what I mean? Like a real horror show, dude. That's what I'm talking about.
Roman candle fights.
Oh, my God. God, I miss being a kid. So I miss mailbox baseball. I miss all the fun stuff we did back in the 80s and the 90s, man. So go ahead. So take us through, because this is what I love about the show, and this is when I know it's going to be a fun episode, when it opens like this, when we get somebody that's just like, this is my band, I feel this because of that. So because I am a very passive Doors fan. Like, I know all the hits. I've talked about this when we did what record did we do before, Morty?
We did Strange Days, second album.
We did Strange Days. I knew most of the songs, but that, I hate to say it, that was my first real Doors record all the way through. And so this is my second. And there's something, and it's, I mean, a fantastic record, and I watched some documentaries to prepare, and there is something very intelligent about their music. There's something very sexy about their music. And of course, Jim Morrison might be one of the most sexy rock stars that has ever performed. Not the greatest singer,
no,
but one of the greatest performers. I remember my friend Angelo Bowers, his mother went to go see the Doors in San Francisco years ago, and would tell Angelo and talk about how important that show was to seeing Jim Morrison. And I mean, because there's not many performers that are like that. So, so without being able to, knowing that he's gone by the time that you've already gotten into the band, like, was it just the intellectualism of college and what you're learning and finding that this is a band that's like, oh, wow, it's like, as I'm expanding my mind with these books, this music has opened me up too.
Yeah, I would say all those things were part of it. The fact that it was college, the fact that I am meeting a lot of, because I'm from a town of 2,000 people. Nobody talks about anything. I'd never heard the term art history. So, and most of my college or my high school, we only graduated 68, and it's not a private school. That's the public school. Of that group of 68, less than half are even going to college, right? Or continuing their education at all. So to get the fuck out and start meeting people that have more musical interest and knowledge and more intellectual, cultural interest and knowledge, that was all fascinating. And yeah, that did play into it. And then reading the Danny Sugarman book really hooked me. That really fucking hooked me. Because, Morrison was somewhat of an intellectual. He's a very bright guy. A lot of people don't like him and think he's full of shit, but it's not true. And Robbie Krieger's playing, my God, it's just beautiful. And the fact that he chose to never have a bass player and let Manzarek do both of those parts, that's pretty fucking amazing. And Densmore's drumming, all of it just fit together for me. And then, buying one album, then another, and just keep expanding the catalog. And I got more and more interested as I got more and more into it. And like that, I wind up buying American Prayer, a double album of Morrison's leftover spoken poetry that they fucking put music to that I loved so much that I would fucking memorize half a fucking album.
Yeah.
Oh,
have you turned your kids onto the Doors? Are they fans
no.
at all? No.
You know what? It's so fascinating how music has diverged into what it is, and there's less handing down of what you love to them. They're just kind of as gobsmacked by my music as I am by theirs. And I never thought this would happen, because I never thought there's no way I won't be down with whatever's contemporary, right?
Yeah.
But it changed you to a point where like, I'm still listening to Wilco. Sorry.
Great band. Great band. Yankee Hotel Foxtrot is damn near perfect.
Yeah, so that's where I still am. But the fact that I could get, I'll be years ago when I drive them to school and scream Wilco songs at the top of my lungs, and my daughter to go, play it again, Dad. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. All right.
Yeah.
But, all my Doors stuff was on albums. And I don't know if I had a bunch of it on my Apple playlist. I don't think I did. And I recently someone sent me over Christmas. I'm yelling. I'm so loud. I'm sorry.
No, it's exciting.
Someone sent me a record player. Oh, I know what it was. American Dad. I'd done voices on there for years. And that was the gift this year, was one of those little suitcase record players. So then I got divorced. So I got all my stuff in this garage. So I pulled out a bunch of albums and put those upstairs. Now they have thrown on a couple things, Frank Sinatra being one of them. Okay, whatever you want to listen to on album, guys, is cool with me. Let's play it. Great. That's live.
All right, let's focus it on LA Woman. I want to now. We're not. You don't have to be specific on tracks, but you're a fan of the band. You're a fan of everything. What do you love about this record?
Well, we know it's their last one, right?
Yes.
And we know from Danny that Jim was drinking heavily. And it's, I'd say, the bluesiest album they have done. And this all, fits in with his voice is getting more gravelly because of the heavy drinking. And of course, Josh, when I was drinking, of course, in college at that point, like, I'm willing to experiment. Whatever they were fucking doing, I'm going to fucking do. So all those things played in. And then, the stuff that was going on for the band, what's happened, the culmination of the band. Of course, in the Sugarman book, I can't remember if they really cover all the politics of what's going on in the band, and you don't realize until you become an adult, like, oh, Jim Morrison's a fucking asshole, and you know, like, you wouldn't tolerate this fucking prick. It's like, you know, finding out who John Belushi was years later, like, oh, we wouldn't have been friends.
Yeah,
like you're insufferable. And then you watch that Belushi documentary, and you're like, oh my God, he's just like the rest of us.
Yeah,
fucking frail, beaten, broken, and then just willing himself to fucking, you know, not only survive shortly, but be brilliant. You know, because that's what it takes. It's those two tectonic plates of your own pain that show your brilliance. Someone write this stuff down. Anyway, what do we have? The Changeling, Lover Madly. That was nearly a pop hit, wasn't it?
Yep.
Been Down So Long, very bluesy. Cars Hiss By My Window, I can't remember that one. L.A. Woman, come on. That's a fucking classic.
Classic.
I mean, as far as, it's got to be among the top 10 driving songs, right?
Oh, yeah.
Even
Riders on the Storm, too. Riders on the Storm, it's like, that's like you're going through the grapevine, through, you know, outside, going towards, like, yeah, where is it? I can't think of where's the Six Flags? Fucking
Valencia.
Thank you.
Yes.
Getting out there,
Awesome
the canyons.
The five.
Yeah.
Yes, to have both of those songs on this album, L.A. Woman and Riders of the Storm, that's fucking epic. And this is their sixth album, right? So they're not done. And, you know, maybe there was more, but those are two hits. Was L.A. Woman a radio hit? I know Riders of the Storm was a radio hit.
Yeah, they did an edit of Riders of the Storm that they cut out part of the solo in it and made it a radio one. But, yeah,
was it 5 minutes long or was it 6 minutes long, the radio?
The radio edit, I think, got it down to, like, 4 and change.
Okay.
When they cut out a lot of the solo. Because that's what they basically did. They'd always cut out, they'd go to Ray's solos or Robbie's solos and just go, well, we can't cut out the singing.
Yeah.
So sorry about all that work you put in to the instrumental. We're going to cut that out.
Yeah. The solos are like the best part of the song. I mean, it really is what makes it, man. Everything on this are these solos that are just so, you know, they're incredible.
Yeah,
incredible.
For people that really like music and are deeply interested in the whole business of what's going on, and how fucking great Krieger was as this jazz guitarist that became a rock guitarist, and still so humble. I don't know if you follow the Doors on Instagram, but you'll catch an interview every once in a while, and it's just wonderful. And you know, they recognize how prickly and difficult Jim was, but you know, you still get it done. And I remember seeing an interview with Robbie Krieger, and his parents were out of town, and so Jim had gone out with his brother and got fucked up because they're supposed to spend the whole weekend writing, got drunk, and I got a DUI and maybe in a wreck. And he's like, what the fuck, man? I thought we were going to write this weekend. My brother took off and got him all messed up. But they're still talking about it with love. It's not like I'm done with that guy. So, and then years later, I saw Ray Manzarek at the Sherman Oaks Galleria before they redid it. And he's coming down that top third floor escalator. And I'm going up it. And I'm like, holy fucking shit. Ray Manzarek was coming down the escalator. I'm going up it. And I catch his eye. And he looks and he kind of grins, which is that kind of way of going, it's okay for you to interact with me. I felt, you know. But I also felt like, since I'm in show business, I'm not going to do that. And I'm sad that I didn't say something.
Why didn't you?
I didn't want to bother him.
I get it.
You know, but
it's hard to meet your heroes too, man. Yeah. Like, you never know how the experience. I remember when I met Beck, it was just like, oh God, I was such a spaz. I think I said like 1,000 words in 30 seconds, and he was just like, it scared the shit out of him. And I was like, okay, well, I'll go back just to eating over here.
Yeah. I remember when I met John Doe at Largo. I think I said, holy shit, 10 times in a row. What's he supposed to do with that? Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. What's he supposed to do? It was like, oh, I'm not going to talk to you.
He probably would have liked it because he's a super nice guy, former guest of the 500. So we had him up.
He was very nice that night. And I was on the fucking bill. I mean, I'm going to be doing the show.
Yeah.
But that's coming out of my house, my head. And then, then you're in your head going, oh, I just revealed myself to be a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And not very interesting. So
we've been there, done that, dude. But listen, it's you'll get another moment. You'll get another chance. Trust me, the universe is working in your favor. He just heard you say that. It's going to make sure you get to do it.
Yeah, if not Ray.
All right, so I think we already mentioned it. This is a really good album. Yes. This is a blues record. It's got some stuff that might not even be called blues, but the hits on this are iconic. I do think there are a few misses, but the ones that are good are so good that it just completely cancels out the stuff that I really didn't feel as much. Right. Is this Fat Jim?
Yes.
This is Fat Jim.
This is as fat as Jim is ever going to get. Yes.
Yes.
Nice.
This is his Elvis phase. He'd been drinking a lot of beer, so he left this. He became just a dedicated alcoholic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't even know how much he's getting high. I don't think he's experimenting too much with hallucinogenics anymore. He had just become a hardcore alcoholic. So now you're just in your least interesting phase of life that you'll ever be in, right?
Yeah.
That's just where it goes. So now you're just a drunk, but he's able to still put this together. Pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, that actually makes sense to hear that he was just focusing on the alcohol for this record, because this does have a lot of alcohol-fueled moments where you're like, oh yeah, this guy is just wasted. But then there's some stuff that sounds very psychedelic. Riders on the Storm sounds extremely psychedelic. And then a few other ones we're going to talk about in a minute. But Morty, why don't you kind of tell us what's going on?
I'm sorry.
Let me take that again. Morty, why don't you take us to this record, dude?
Right on, dude. Just one brief caveat. I am in a band with Paul Rothchild's son, Dan. So I actually asked him a few of these things just to make sure I got the real poop. We'll catch up with who Paul is in 1 second, but you'll enjoy some of this. So this is released on April 19th, 1971 on Elektra Records and produced by the group and Bruce Botnick. It's the 6th studio album by the Los Angeles rock blues psychedelic jazz band. As we did their second album, we talked about Strange Days with Harlan Williams. That has a good, solid early bio, so I'm going to catch you up on this one. Just a refresher, the Doors are Ray Manzarek on keys, John Densmore on drums, Robbie Krieger on guitar, and Jim Morrison on vocals. And both John and Robbie went to my high school, so shout out to Uni High.
Wow.
By late 1968, Jim was fed up with being the Lizard King and just wanted to be taken seriously as a poet, and even tried quitting the band. He stuck around but continued to break on through the boundaries, which reached a head at a concert in Miami in 1969, when he reportedly flashed his penis to the crowd.
You do.
Yes, This resulted in his arrest, conviction, and sentencing for charges including lewd and lascivious behavior, profanity, and public drunkenness. So by 1970, although they were 5 successful studio albums into their career, that event saw them hit a huge roadblock when promoters kept canceling their shows and many radio stations blacklisted them. Oh. That low point carries over into the beginning of this record. They'd only had a few incomplete songs, and after early sessions with Paul Rothchild, who produced all the rest of their albums, he just didn't feel that most of the songs were up to his or their standards, and was especially fed up with Jim, who would often not even show up. According to Rothchild, the material was bad, the attitude was bad, the performance was bad. And he told him straight out, look, I think it sucks. I don't think the world wants to hear it. It's the first time I've ever been bored in a recording studio in my life. I want to go to sleep. And just a side note on this, Paul had just worked with Janis Joplin on what became her posthumous last album. So he saw her die, and it really had an effect on him. And he probably saw Jim going in that similar direction. So that was a big one on him, according to Dan too. So he suggests that they use Bruce Botnick, who had engineered all the records. And they co-produced that with him. The idea was to capture the sound of the band quickly, very few overdubs, and return to that live bluesy root stuff you were talking about. So instead of continuing to record at the fancy studio where they were doing the pre-production, they switched to their messy and crowded rehearsal and management space right on Santa Monica Boulevard near La Cienega. So for all you Doors fans, there's Barney's Beanery, where we know Janis had her last drink and we know Jim used to party. There's the Altanita, the hotel where Jim used to live at. Across the street next to Alan Ed's right over was the Doors rehearsal space. So that one little corner had and then there was an Elektra studio. So right there, that was all of that.
And I think now it's a Shake Shack. It's because me and Angelo used to walk by there all the time when we were doing like this open mic that was right down the street, and there was the sign out. It was like a pink building, and it said, this was recorded here on this date and blah blah blah, and it was just great. So that was And my the cheeseburgers at the Shake Shack, just they hit a little sweeter. You know what I mean? Because it's like there's a little history behind it.
Josh, should do is there a rock and roll tour of this got recorded here and there in LA?
There is when they're in my car.
But there should be one, but it should not be common. It has to be someone that really loves music, and they had to pay $100. Like you're not paying fucking $25, and it's actually $15 with a discount coupon. It's a fucking walking tour. Maybe it's $200.
Make it $3. Come on.
It's $400. And you get a Shake Shack burger at the end.
You get a Shake Shack, dude.
right next to where Jim. In fact, here you'll like this. So not only do they record in this rehearsal studio where they pull in the console and everything's jammed in, Jim actually goes and starts singing songs in the tiled bathroom for acoustics. They take the door off of it. It's still a working bathroom, by the way. So nice. Although Ray played keyboard bass live, we talked about, they always recorded with a hired bass player. For this album, they got Jerry Sheff from Elvis Presley's TCB band and many, many other hits, as well as rhythm guitarist Mark Beno, who had recent success with Leon Russell as the Asylum Choir. So the album's recorded in just 6 days, mixed in an additional week, by which point Jim had already taken a break from the band and left to go to Paris with his girlfriend Pamela Curson and figure some stuff out.
Did she really look like Meg Ryan?
You can see lots of pictures of her. A lot more kind of hippie, plain sort of.
Adam, pull up a picture of her. Okay.
Yeah, she was kind of redheaded.
Yeah, she's a ginger. Yeah.
Yeah, and she actually there's lots of photos. You'll love this. Look them up where you can see Jim and Jim, or she worked at a clothing shop on like Sunset Boulevard, and Jim would like go visit her, and he'd like get dressed up by her, and they'd like take weird pictures with like whoever was there. So there's some really wacky pictures of that era. So he goes to Paris. They hope. Now, here's the thing. The band, Robbie loved Jerry Sheff. He was hoping Jerry and Mark would go touring with them when they got back. But less than 3 months later, obviously, tragically, Jim died 3 months after the release, mysteriously in a bathtub in Paris.
Oh, wow. She was pretty, man. Yeah. Oh, wow.
I mean, she looks a lot more like Pamela DeBarge, if you know.
Can I be completely honest with you guys? I'd still prefer to have sex with Jim over her. Jim is gorgeous. Good.
In between them.
I want fat Jim, dude. Yeah. I want to fuck a bloated, high sodium intake Jim Morrison. That's what I want.
Just as a disclaimer, none of us agreed to the terms when he said, "Can I be honest with you guys?" None of us said, "Yes, please tell me."
But I felt it. I felt the energy.
Yeah.
So anyway, it took 6 days to record.
Yes.
Now, so of the stuff that they had initially started recording earlier, how much remained for this album, or did they start writing and new songs for this particular album?
I'll get into that near the end. Okay. There's one song I'm just saying there's one song they had recorded way before this, way before this. The rest of this was essentially started with Paul Rothchild. He went in the studio with them and he just was like, nah. He's just like, this is not. And then I'll get in a little more stuff as we go song by song. But so basically 6 days of cumulative recording over like a month. And then only mixed in like a week, which is, if you guys know anything about recording, is really quick for this album to get done. So three remaining doors after Morrison died, they put out 2 more albums with them trading vocals, which I don't think you have on vinyl, but they are interesting. They are interesting to listen to. And then 1 album of them playing under Morrison's poetry, which is what you have. And according to Dan, you'll like this. So when Paul Rothchild recorded his poetry, he specifically said, Jim said, "Don't ever put music on my poetry. Don't ever cut any breaths out. I want it to be exactly how I recorded this. I want this to be a testament of how I recorded it." And then he died, and obviously they encouraged him to put music under it. But that's a fascinating
Wow, man. But, that's like Ruth Bader Ginsburg's like final wish. Be like, "Please don't fill my seat." And they were like, "We're filling it, dude."
Yeah,
oh my God.
Ruth, well, we won't. Why don't you retire early?
Yeah, exactly. So Densmore rarely participated in any of the later reunions due to his tinnitus, but Robbie and Ray continued to play together periodically until Manzarek's sad death from cancer in 2013. The Doors became the first American band to have 8 consecutive gold records. That includes the other ones, the Live and 13.
Wow.
Have sold over 100 million records worldwide and were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1993.
Good for them. Good for them.
Yep.
They deserve it.
Oh, yeah.
I want Fat Jim. All right, let's dive into this record. We're gonna cover a few of them. And these, I mean, the ones we're going to cover are just fantastic. The first one we got to mention, we always got to mention the opening song, "The Changeling." This is you said it earlier, David. This is a blues record, and yet this is a funk song supreme. Adam, play the intro. I just want to get into this little. He goes like, ha! Yeah, cut it. This could either be James Brown or the music from Debbie Does Dallas. It is everything I masturbated to in my dad's porno collection.
Just last week.
So it was the first song they recorded for the record and owed a debt to R&B and soul artists like James Brown, Lee Dorsey, and Lowell Fulsom. Great song. Great way to open the record. Definitely doesn't sound like the rest of it. Morty, is there anything to add?
Yeah, man. This is, we were talking about Jim was putting into what was going on in his life. Even though he wrote the lyrics back in '68, this really captured the change. He was just decided he did not want to be the Lizard King. He wanted to be whatever was going to happen to him at that point. And, disappointed a lot of female and everyone but Josh, apparently.
I mean, I'm into him, dude. He's sexy. He's sexy, man. There's 2 guys I would have sex with in my life. I would have sex with Jim Morrison and the lead singer of the B-52s, Fred Schneider. Those are the 2.
Okay. Was it the fellas or the chicks? Okay.
The chicks. The guy. No, the guy.
Yeah,
the guy with that voice.
Of those, you have one opportunity. So
That's true. So everybody in their life, that really is a huge Doors fan has like a Jim Morrison period. Have you ever had a Jim Morrison period?
Me particularly?
Yeah.
Well, in college, I mean, yeah. I don't have one. Look, I don't have any cool. That's not my trade. My trade is loud. And so apparently that's not cool. So we're so polar opposite in our energy, that I would never have a Jim Morrison moment. Like I can't lower my vibration to match him on any level. That's all right. Well,
then let me ask you this. So that this is an amendment. It's not a Jim Morrison period, but being that Jim Morrison was the king of cool, one of the coolest guys ever lived, was there ever a moment you were at your coolest? Like you did something where you felt, I'll never get cooler.
I'm still waiting. You know what, Josh? It's a thing. It's like that's not on my radar. I'm never concerned with cool. Relevant, of course, because of what we do. That's what we want. Want to be relevant. Later, people will go, oh, man, that was cool. You did this or that. But it's not something I am conscious of or think about. So I guess that's the honest answer.
No, I get it. No, it's very, very humble of you. And
well,
because I think you are what I was hoping you were going to say, when I was singing Bob Seger at the goddamn Comedy Jam at the Roxy. Do you remember that? You remember when I told you I was like, you want to do Turn the Page? And I was like, we're doing the Metallica version. You're like, no. We're doing the Bob Seger.
Well, the night we did that rehearsal for the other song with the Violent Femmes, when we all sat and did 10 different songs that night in rehearsal.
Oh, yeah.
That was
I do.
But I guess, cool. You know what? I guess the coolest then would have been when we did the Naked Trucker and T-Bone show. I was the leader. I was the lead singer of a band. Me and another guy. So I guess that's as cool as it got for me.
I mean, that is extremely cool, dude.
Yeah,
that was such a great show. Such great characters. I mean, what you guys created was. I mean, I never got to see it live. Morty, you said you did. I heard you guys talking about that live.
Yeah.
It was. I will just say it was fucking an amazing show. It really was. That's been the highlight of my career, doing that show for several years at Largo, and we'd have sold out shows. And as years later, I'd find out, I was told that comedy writers that were writing on sitcoms and were disgusted with it would come to our show to reaffirm that comedy is important and it can be good. So that, I guess, that would be my coolest moment, that we had all these people. Rick Rubin used to come to our show.
How can you not think that is cool? Dude, yes. That's first answer. That's first ballot cool.
We went to Rick Rubin's house one night.
Continue.
So we're like, what does Rick Rubin want to talk to us about? Because we had a few songs, and he's like, none of your songs are hits. Like, okay. Mm. What Rick wanted us to do was become Abbott and Costello and do an Abbott and Costello style movie. It's like, well, that has zero relevance to what we actually do other than we're a two-man act. But the naked guy is the straight man here. So this whole thing, it's you don't never want to describe it as meta, but it kind of was.
Yeah.
And this isn't as dumb as people kind of think it is. We eventually got a show on Comedy Central, and they always miss the mark. I was like, never call this fucking, blue-collar comedy. It's not. We're referencing Chaucer and Noam Chomsky. So don't fucking call us, the blue-collar comedy tour. So you know what they did? They called it Roadhouse comedy.
Right. And no one knows how to fuck something up more than Comedy Central, dude. Cue the goddamn Comedy Jam.
That's true. What do you guys? How are you even on the air still? Are they? Is it still on the air?
Barely. And I love. They got rid of 90% of the execs. The only one that survived was the one that knew what he was doing. Love you, Ryan Moran. If you're listening, I love you, buddy. I love you to death.
Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. You go.
That would be the coolest time for me. When I was one of two people fronting a band, and damn, that was fucking electric, and it was fun, and the Rick Rubin story. But basically, that was it. He sat us down. We watched a bunch of old Abbott and Costello stuff, which I'm a fan of, but I was just confused. He wanted us to go out and write an Abbott and Costello version of our show as a movie. And it just, Morty, you saw the show. That wouldn't work.
Well, the thing about, and by the way, like I was saying, my friend Mike Rotman, who was a writer on a show at the time and was in that circle with everybody, and Sam Levine, all these guys, they used to talk about that. They used to go, we'll go to Largo to watch this show. It's genius because of what it is. Because on the surface, it seems like you were saying, it seems like a hee-haw.
Yes.
When you first see it, it's like the anti-hee-haw, because when you look at it. So for those of you that don't know, there's a tall dude holding a guitar who's ostensibly looks like he's naked, and he's wearing a trucker hat, and he's just standing there, and he's playing the songs and everything. And then you have David as T-Bones, who is, really the heart of the the you were saying, Goober, David, or
Gruber, yeah.
Right, he's the straight man. So he's not doing a lot of the comedy stuff. Wait, did he freeze?
Thank you.
No.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, okay.
Interesting dynamic. And gosh darn, it was fun.
And it was funny.
And we had a lot of great songs, I thought.
Yeah, very funny.
It was very
funny.
Hold on, you're chopping up a little bit, David. David, you're chopping up a little bit. Hold on.
Oh, I am? Okay.
Yeah. Now you're back. You're good. All right. Let's move on to Love Her Madly. Okay. So, all right. Next song, Love Her Madly. So Robbie got a new 12-string acoustic guitar and wrote this about his often contentious relationship with his girlfriend, Lynn. As he described it, every time we had an argument, she used to get pissed off and go out the door, and she'd slam the door so loud the house would shake. Ooh, I've been there, dude. The title was based on a line Duke Ellington would tell his concert audiences at the end of his performances, "We love you madly." Robbie, who had written a bunch of their songs, including the lyrics, was encouraged by Jim to occasionally throw in something confusing to challenge the listeners. On this, that was, "All your love is gone, so sing a lonely song of a deep blue dream, 7 horses seem to be on the mark." Besides being their highest charting last pop hit, The song's easy feel allowed Jim to croon like one of his idols, Frank Sinatra. Play the best part, Adam. Anything you want to add to this, David? Thoughts, feelings, whatever?
Yes, it's got a certain carnival feel to it.
Yes, and very much so.
I would always think whenever when he goes the guitar part, when he goes the seven horses seem to be on their mark, it sounds to me like the guitar is the horses running in my head. So, but yeah, like that, I thought this was a hit. How hard did it chart?
I believe it was 11. I think this went to 11, and then Riders went to 17, I believe. But 11 was like, it's the highest that they did the end of their career. You know. But
yeah, it's a perfect for the time. Yeah, this is a great pop hit, right? It's delightful. It's got language. But yeah, seven horses seem to be on their mark. That also emulates. So I forgot that Robbie had written this. And emulates a lot of the stuff that, you know, Jim had done. So I think clearly it shows that Jim's poetic influence was felt with Robbie there.
Definitely. Definitely. Anything you want to add, Morty?
Yeah, this is the actual song that Paul heard in the studio. Paul Rothschild, the producer. This is the one he listened to, and he was like, this is a piece of shit. We're not doing a record. And then, his girlfriend, Lynn, that he got in the fight with. So first, the Doors had actually met her at a New York go-go bar. And she had a brief fling with Jim first before going out with Robbie. And so where is she today? Well, she's been Mrs. Lynn Krieger since 1972.
Oh, it's a sweet love story. Oh, yeah. Good for them. Good for them.
Don't you love her as she's walking out the door?
I've been down so long. I got to mention this one because this song is dirty. Starts raw and gets raw. I love how it picks up steam towards the end. Play 3-3-3. Wasted.
Yep.
All right, that's enough. I mean, honestly, that is God. That makes me miss drinking a little bit. You know what I mean? Just a little bit. Just a little bit. I think that might be my favorite moment on the whole record. I really do. I think that's a special moment. It's like there's something about Jim, and we had that moment. What was the final song, Morty, on Strange Days? The one where he just gets like
when the music's over.
Yeah, yes, when the music's over, and when he fucking does that scream and that, it's like it's just you're like, yeah, dude, he's the greatest front man that ever lived. That's what you have when he does that shit. You're just like that. Yeah, dude, I'm in. I'll take all of that. I want all of that and then some. So this Cars Hiss by My Window and the latest cover of John Lee Hooker's Crawling Kingsnake are pretty standard blues songs, but this gets a mention for its topical lyrics about a warden and being set free as Jim was appealing his impending 6-month jail sentence. Did he go to jail?
No, he died in Paris while he was still appealing.
Oh, yeah. I forgot
Gene is a junkie.
Yeah.
Someone spelled his name Jeem.
Gene.
Have you ever been arrested? What's your worst run-in with the law, David?
Let's think. Oh, I was once in college. My roommate, who I was moving
double homicide. You killed your roommate. He didn't buy paper towels.
2 weeks before I was moving to a new place in Columbia, Missouri, my roommate, not a bright kid, was growing marijuana plants in the basement. It was a 3-level house. We had the basement and the first level. And he'd been growing these pot plants in Missouri for about 6 months, and they were only about a foot tall. So it's pretty sad concern. An exterminator had come, hired by the landlord, to spray for bugs, and he was an ex-cop. I come home, and there are 11 cop cars outside the house. Missouri overkill. and there's people from the state police, the local police, the county police. I'm walking in. My roommate already said he has nothing to do with this. And they go, can we search your room? I'm like, yeah, there's nothing in my room. I had forgotten. This is August. That May, someone had a vial, a Coke vial with that thing at the top. Remember, there used to be that. A bullet.
Yeah.
It was empty, but it had dust in it, right?
Residue, right.
The coating around, and they even go, "What's this?" I said, "I don't know." Thinking, who gives a fuck? There's nothing in there. I was arrested for felony possession of cocaine.
Wow.
For coke dust?
Yes.
What happened?
I got a 1-year suspended sentence, and then it took me forever to get through the red tape of being able. I was on my way to Chicago. I was going to move to Chicago 6 months after that. It took nearly a year before I could actually move to Chicago to start studying at the second city, which maybe was a blessing in disguise because then I ended up meeting all these right people at the right time. But so yeah, I hired a lawyer for $1,000. Any lawyer would have gone, "We need an independent test,"
Sure.
which would have said this case is getting thrown out because there's not enough there for an independent test. There was nothing there.
Just flakes, dust.
Dust. And my friend,
you know why? You know why there was nothing there? Because you did all the coke.
Yes,
you did all.
It was a graduation party from that last May. Everybody was doing $25 worth. Like there's 8 people sharing $25 worth, so no one's really getting anything, right?
Yeah, just a little dirty.
Anybody would have taken that final little bit and put water in there and just drank it.
Right.
I didn't even think, So
do you ever see Tim Allen and go, "Sup"?
How many years did he do? 5 years?
I don't know how long he did, but nobody. That's all anyone could talk about was like that was the last cool thing he did.
That might be very true.
All right, let's move. So then, car hissed by my window. I want to get to L.A. Woman. Let's get to L.A. Woman. Come on, right, guys? We got to do L.A. Woman. Morty's got the orange water cup. I hope I get my blue water cup out here from L.A.
Oh,
I'm in because that's the only cup I got.
All our Target merch.
Yeah, I know where he was from. I stole it from one of my roommates.
Oh yeah,
because he was a pot dealer and we got busted. No, I'm just kidding. All right, L.A. Woman. So this song, like I said earlier, it's so special to me because I shared that moment with Angelo walking by that studio. We used to always stand there. We used to smoke pot there. It just felt really, really cool. So it was really nice to be able to dig into this and then find out a little bit about the history. Everything about this song rules. And I mean fucking everything about this song rules. The lyrics, the keyboards, the sections, but most importantly, this part right here. Play 455, Adam. Mr. Kill it, because we can just keep going. We can just and Peter, when you edit this, just play the whole fucking section. Just play the whole thing. And Morty, you've been on since the Wanda Sykes episode, but you've been listening since the beginning. I don't think there's ever been a more iconic thing that we've actually played on this podcast so far. That is just so iconic. It's so powerful. It's just everything that you want in music, and it's like. I don't think anything of the other albums we've done have even touched that moment musically. And
live, John doesn't get enough credit for his drumming. I mean, you have to remember he's like a jazz drummer playing a lot of this stuff in a rock and roll band that has like a bluesy key thing and then a flamenco guitar dude and then a poet. But the drumming stuff, like you were saying. There's a finesse to John that not a lot of, maybe Ginger Baker, not a lot of other drummers brought to the table. And so I just want to give props to him because he seems to be the guy that gets the least amount of.
I don't even know. If you could put the whole band at a restaurant together sitting at separate tables, I could pick out almost every single one of them except for the drummer.
Kevin Dillon. He's the guy, Kevin Dillon.
Oh, Kevin, yes. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
You mean Johnny Drama?
Yeah,
well, I know Johnny Drama.
Johnny Drama. Yeah, no, so he was, he doesn't get enough there. But, everybody knows this is the anagram of Jim Morrison. made into Mr. Mojo Rising. He took his letters and moved them around and did a little word puzzle. And so you end up with Mr. Mojo Rising, not with a G. Jim Morrison doesn't have a G in it. But
So Ray described this as a song about driving madly around or down the LA freeway, either heading into LA or going out on the 405 up to San Francisco. I don't know why they would take the 405 to San Francisco. I mean, the 5 is so much better. Or you could take the 101 where it's a scenic view, or you could take the 1, which is just gorgeous. You're a beatnik on the road.
I guess not yet.
Soon.
Anyway.
Not the bullet you had.
So they want you to be a beatnik on the road like Kerouac and Neil Cassidy, barreling down the freeway as fast as you can go. Yeah, man, I'm definitely gonna, because that's the thing is that I haven't listened to this record driving yet because I've been in New York the whole time. I've been listening to it. It doesn't hit the same way on the subway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is the law. Go ahead.
You're right. As far as cruising music, LA Woman's got to be way up there. Just to get in a car and drive with that on there, you're going to be accelerating.
Yes, you are going to be accelerating. And this is the longest song on the record, and the last door's epic. Morty, anything to add?
Yeah, this is great. This song was only played once by the band in late '70 in Dallas. You can find that on a bootleg if you can find it. If it ain't one thing, it's another. And then 15 years after the song, Manzarek, who you'll remember met Jim in film school at UCLA, he made a video for this song using old footage he shot of the band and new stuff he shot in Venice Beach. Actress Krista Erickson played the LA Woman, and the male lead was Past 500 guest and Dave's good friend, John Doe, the band X. Yeah, and Manzarek produced, so I don't know, I mean, for those out there that don't, Manzarek produced the first Force X albums and directed 2 of their videos. So he's also known for bringing X to the forefront.
That's funny that you know what was funny was I was trying to remember who we had on that worked with him. I for the life of me, I couldn't remember. It was John Doe. Yeah. Also was in the movie Roadhouse, everybody.
Yes.
I mean, God bless Roadhouse.
So not a Roadhouse comedy.
but Roadhouse, road, driving song, you know, it all kind of works.
He's a good listener. But was it L.A. Woman? Was it written about Pamela or not?
I mean, it's Jim, so you know he might have written this 2 years before, had pieces of it. I mean, this dude wrote this. For those of you that don't know, Jim was like a literate guy. Went to college, kept dropping out, but he was also like We See the Beautiful guy. He was like a chunky guy in film school, so he wasn't the guy that we see. He was broke, and they lived eating crap, so he got that physique from the later part when he was hanging out with like Ray and they first started the band. Before that, he was like a kind of chunky, kind of chubby guy in film school. Okay. So that's words to all you guys out there.
Chunky, chubby film student.
Yeah, you guys could be Jim Morrison if you just lose all your money and have to live on someone's roof.
Yeah, maybe take a bunch of reds. Were reds speed? What was speed? Were those reds?
Speed, blue. I think blues were uppers and reds were downers.
Oh, okay.
Mom, my mom's listening. Yes, thank you.
Oh, God bless us,
I'm sure they took a generous amount of speed.
You have?
Do I know?
Oh, I thought you said you have a generous amount of speed.
No.
I was all right. Okay.
I'd say when Jim got his physique cut like that.
Yeah.
Probably.
Jim took everything. If you guys don't know, for those out there that he was not a moderate guy. When he would go and they play places, people would hand him stuff. And these were now that he would just take it without asking what it was, without asking how many doses they were giving him. Ooh. He had done that lots of times. There's a famous one, either Denmark or Amsterdam, where like I think maybe Grace Slick or somebody was like, we were with him and people handed him stuff, and he just took it.
I think it was in the movie. It was in the movie that he did that, and in one of the documentaries, you just see somebody, you just see him pop shit into his mouth. I mean, dude, that's what you do, though. Come on, man. That's how you want to be an iconic rock star. You take a handful of pills, you have no idea what they are.
I'm sure you guys have covered this on your show. You mentioned Janis Joplin earlier, and she and Jim and Jimi Hendrix all part of the 27 Club.
Yes.
Yep. And Kurt Cobain, right?
Kurt Cobain,
years later.
And fucking Amy Winehouse.
And Brian Jones. Brian Jones.
Okay, there you go.
I mean, there were a lot of them. Yeah, the ones that don't are like, fuck.
I'm 32. I'm 30. I'm in the 32 club.
when I passed 27, I was like, I guess I got to see this one out.
Yeah,
There's no way.
You got no choice.
Yeah, nobody cares anymore.
All right, L'America, great song. It was Hyacinth House.
Yeah,
Hyacinth House.
Hyacinth House, Crawling King Snake. All right, let's get to the Wasp. Texas radio and the big beat. It's a deep cut though. Although I don't think I was supposed to say that, but I wanted to anyway.
Yeah, it's good.
It's like saying deep cut.
Welcome.
Although this has been included on several greatest hits compilations, this is still a relatively obscure song. It's essentially a poem with a sung chorus that likely tells of the effects on the Texas youth of the 50s from the unrestricted and unregulated R&B and soul music pumping out of the nearby high wattage Mexican radio stations. I got to tell you guys, the ending is the best on this. Adam, play it.
Now listen to this. I'll tell you about Texas. I'll tell you about Texas radio. I'll tell you about the hopeless night. Wander in the western dream. I'll tell you about the maiden with wrought iron soul.
That's fun.
You know,
I felt like a radio DJ right there. I was just like, that's just ended, and I was like, that's fun. You're listening to KWOK, the Quack, yo.
You're listening to WASP, the Wasp.
You know, and the cool thing too is the Doors are doing their own thing. They've got their own sound and they stick with it. And doing stuff like this, which is experimental, really. It's just so much different than anything else. So they've got their one pop song they're really committed to in this album, which is Love Her Madly. Otherwise, the rest of it is that we're going to do what we want to do. Now, whether it was because they were fucking burning down the house and they had nothing and like, fuck it, let's just try. There's a lot of good music in here. And the fact like that thing's on there too. You know, no one's trying to emulate the Byrds. They're not trying to be the Stones. They're not trying to be the Beatles. They're not trying to be CCR or Led Zeppelin. This is the fucking Doors.
Yeah, you know what? Sound. That's a really good point, David. And to the Fleece Army out there, man, it's like you don't have to love the Doors, but you got to at least respect that they're doing their own thing. They're not trying to sound like anybody else. Yeah, there's influences here and there, but it's like they're making their music for. It sounds like they're just making it for Jim and themselves. Like Jim's like, no, I'm doing what I want to do. Little did he probably have any idea that he was actually recording a song. He probably was so drunk. If only he would have known that there would have been a Shake Shack right next door to the studio years later, he would have been double the size.
You know, it'd be so sad. Jim Morrison's still alive today, 300 plus pounds, hanging out at Shake Shack every day, telling people, hey, man, we recorded an LA Woman just down the street from here.
Dude, it's so funny that you're saying that because I was talking to another comic about how Marilyn Manson should have died years ago, and he would have been this cool legend, and now he's turned into this fat, bloated. You know, you're finding out all this horrible stuff about him. It's like this narcissist, which it's just like if he would have died after Antichrist Superstar. I'm not a huge Marilyn Manson fan either. I'm just saying it's like. You never want to turn out to be that, you know, it's like Kurt Cobain, because he died. I mean, trust me, I would have loved to seen them made more music, but the legend is so powerful of Kurt Cobain and Nirvana, just like the legend of Jim Morrison. And we did get a little bit of fat Jim Morrison, but man, it's like sometimes you just live a little too long.
Yeah, legend's better than the reality, that's for sure.
Yeah, you
for sure.
You don't want to see Alice Cooper golfing. That's the part.
No, exactly. I want, this is my nightmare.
Yeah.
I want to talk about destiny, though. Was there a moment, David, when your destiny was changed forever?
Yeah. When I was 13, I made the decision. Well, two things. When I was 10 years old, I'm one of 6 kids. I'm the third of 6. And when I was 10, I'm there and I'm walking around the side of my house by myself. I'm walking around the west side of the house. And it's just the earliest stages of fall. And I remember thinking, I'm moving. I'm moving to the city. I'm going to miss my family. I'm going to miss my friends, but I have to go. I can't stay here. And so that was 4th grade. And then,
you moved out at 4th grade?
No, that's when I decided.
Everybody's talking, baby.
Well, no, that's when I decided I'm leaving. And then when I was 13, I remember standing by the tree out back, our backyard, watching the sunset and I decided I'm going to be on Saturday Night Live.
Oh.
So those would be my 2 moments of destiny, I guess.
Wow.
Was we just had a buddy on that got Saturday Night Live. We had Jay Moore on. We've had a few other people. We had I think we have Jay Farrell coming up. Did you have a pleasant audition experience?
My audition was glass. By that time, I'd already convinced myself this is mine. It's the most confidence I'd ever had with anything in terms of like, maybe that was my cool moment because like, oh no, this is mine. This is mine. The problem was I already decided I'm not staying 6 years in my head. I thought in my head, like, I'm going to get the show. I'm going to do it for 3 years and then I'm leaving. Well, as they say, you can divine things from the universe. The universe heard me. And so after a year, they said, you can go.
And for those that don't know, so you came up, you were talking about Chicago and the improv scene. So just because the only good thing about being old enough is the experiences you get to have with the people. You worked with Del Close. And not to take us too far off the excursion, Del Close is essentially like the father of improv.
Yes.
So like you got to work with the people that the actual casts of SNL and even SCTV actually came from.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like an abstract.
Right.
When we talk about comedy, this is like being at fucking rock and roll heaven or something of comedy. People never even knows Groundlings and the Second City. But when I read it, I was like, you actually were with like the people that taught Belushi.
Right.
And the people that like, so this wasn't like you came out of nowhere and, just with stars in your eyes. Like you were in the place that Lauren pulled from.
Yeah, it was good. I was very fortunate. Like I said, the fact that I got delayed, things may have been different, and maybe I wouldn't have wound up studying with Del. But the way it took a year longer than I thought to get to Chicago, and then Del was teaching in earnest then. I think a year before that, he may not have been. So it may have changed everything. So things do line up for a reason, and I'm grateful for that. Del used to brag about doing light shows with the Grateful Dead, I think when they were still the Wizards. Was it the Wizards or was it?
They were the Warlocks.
Warlocks, thank you. So, yeah, he had a rock and roll pedigree as well. And Del Close, who was the coolest, improv teacher, but also in the late 50s had written a book called How to Speak Hip. And I remember this was an ironic moment. There was one time someone came to the class that wasn't supposed to be in it and was being disruptive. And he says, why don't you get out of here, you fucking turkey? I'm like, Jesus, you turkey? How to speak hip? Oh, anyway.
Wow.
Del Close, the best. Bill Murray said it. The work Del Close is doing is more important than the pyramids. I mean, Bill Murray's the epitome of cool. So
the coolest. Yeah. All right, let's get to Riders on the Storm. So this started with the band jamming the Stan Jones written 1948 country western hit. Okay, pull it out, dude. Yeah, I love that. I love the show and tell, man. And Dave, I gotta tell you this right now, man. Doing this with you is making me I fall in love with this podcast. It's so much fun having you on, buddy, because you're great. So it's from the 1948 country western hit Ghost Riders in the Sky, a cowboy legend made famous by Vaughn Monroe. Morrison added lyrics inspired by poet Hart Crane, philosophers Friedrich Nietzsche, and Martin Heidegger. His relationship with his girlfriend Pamela and Billy Cook, a drifter, love drifters, who while hitchhiking to California in the 50s, murdered 6 people, including a young family man. One of the eeriest elements is definitely Jim whispering under his vocals. The keys, though, are the king of this song. Adam, play it. This literally, like, it's almost like the keyboards could tell the story that Jim is trying to tell as well. It's you don't even need the lyrics. It's like if you knew that this was what it was about going into it, and then you just listen to the keyboard solos, you're like, oh yeah, I get it, because it gets all over the place and beautiful. Is there anything you want to add to this, David?
Well, just again, the Doors sound is all happening here. Everyone's doing their part. It's authentic to who they are. He's playing fucking jazz keyboards in a way, isn't he? Really,
Yeah.
This isn't rock and roll, but it is rock and roll. So yeah, just maybe I wonder if this isn't if Riders of the Storm, and tell me, Morty, what your opinion is. This might be just the quintessential Doors sound.
Yeah, it's pretty close. I mean, we don't get a lot of the organ. That's the thing, is because the organ, the world of the Farfisa was a big Doors thing.
Yes, true.
Hey, dude, watch your mouth, dude. Don't we get killed in some countries saying Farfisa.
Put my kid in the other room so we could get away with that.
Farfisa.
Yeah.
Dude, what is wrong with you, Morty?
Farfisa.
Just call it a keyboard. Like, the Farfisa.
A Farfisa organ is a very specific sound that you'll know that on the soul records, old records, it sounded.
All right, time out. All right, Fleece Army listening to the podcast right now as I fill my vape juice up. If please tweet at us if you know what the fuck a Farfisa is. I want hands raised to Farfisa, because I think
for you hipsters, it's also the thing Steve Naive plays in Elvis Costello and the Attraction.
Of course, you probably know 18 people that play the Farfisa. You're like, my friend created it. We went to high school together, and it's at the Shake Shack.
Yeah. While we're doing a sidebar, so when Ray played bass, was that a Moog synthesizer used?
He was playing I forgot the exact name of it, but it was just a keyboard bass. Essentially, it was a scaled keyboard that had all the bass notes, and he would play it, left-handed. The Moog things didn't really happen until like later 60s, that they were even small enough that people could use them. Because remember, these were still huge, filters and all these things you plug in, and until years later they were still like a bitch to put anywhere.
Okay.
But they were doing that there. But yeah, I'd say this is the other song that Paul Roth. This is the one that people usually think is the reason that Paul didn't do the record, because he was like because they talked about how he'd said like it was like goddamn cocktail music. This sounds like it, but Lover Madly is actually the song. This is the other one that he heard and went, this is boring the shit out of me. I don't want to. And
this is so legendary. That's so funny how somebody could be so for sure, but still, it's like you never know what people are going to grab a hold of and love. You know what I mean?
And who knows what it sounded like?
I mean, yeah, but what I love about this, and maybe you guys agree with me, is this is creepy. This is a creepy yet beautiful song. Very, very beautiful song. But it's like when you find out that it's about a drifter, who I love drifters. I love them. If there's drifters out there, reach out to me. Let's kick it, dude. All over the place.
Most of your audience are drifters.
Oh yeah, dude. That guy from San Francisco that hits me up, he's a drifter. Fucking ML Heath. I love you, but you're gonna murder me one day, aren't you? Please do not murder me, dude. I swear to God, you're gonna cut my skin off, wear it as a suit. All right. Dave, I wanted to ask you, because you're from the Midwest, and we talk about ghosts and goblins and stuff like that. I just love saying goblins. But what's the scariest thing you've ever seen or been a part of? Have you had a ghost experience, or have you had it doesn't even have to be that, but what's the eeriest thing?
I've never had a ghost experience, but in my travels, I have been at several old hotels that were allegedly haunted. And so there was one night I was in a hotel in Oklahoma City, and apparently it's haunted. And I'm just like, nope. I'm not going to buy in. I'm not going to do anything like that. But there was something in the room. I knew there was something in the bathroom, and I just had chills everywhere. And of course, then that just it dissipates and it goes away. That was as close as it happened. I've never had an encounter again. My energy is so high. Ghosts just go, fuck that.
Ghosts are like, this guy's, dude, I'm fucking out, dude. I can't. He's scaring the shit out of me.
I'm the anti-ghost.
I think this guy's on $25 worth of Coke right now.
And he's splitting with 8 people.
He's got 8 people. We can't scare them.
So I've never had a real encounter. I do believe that there are people that draw them. I remember being on a show back in whatever it was, earlier this year, and so there was a costume person who had several different ghost encounters throughout his life. And that's rare. It's like so, but I think I also asked him if he's an empath, Now, an empath is, in my mind, not something who's empathetic, but they receive different things. And he also could hear, like you would, I forget how he received, whether it was in dreams or auditory. So there are people who have a different spiritual energy. And so you might just have a proclivity for being able to contact spirits. I don't know. But yeah, they don't necessarily come to me. But by and large, I do believe most people don't get hurt by ghosts.
Okay. Is there anything you want to add, Morty?
Yeah. So this is eerie. We're talking about the hairs on the back of your neck. This one, when I say this, in early 71, while they were mixing this, right before Jim left, they added those thunderstorm sound effect things that they added on there. And then Jim, if you listen closely to this song, a lot of people don't know this if they're not avid sort of listeners. Jim whispers under the entire track on the verses. So he's Riders on the Storm under his vocal, which gives this really eerie feeling to this whole thing. Those whispers were the last thing he ever recorded with the Doors.
Wow.
So when you listen to that, the Riders on the Storm is the last. Let's go to that. Jim actually wrote a screenplay based on Billy Cook, Josh's favorite drifter, called The Hitchhiker, an American Pastoral, and he intended to play the lead. And years later, if you're familiar with the Rutger Hauer, C. Thomas Howell movie, The Hitcher, from 1986, based on this song.
Wow.
Yay, dude.
Yeah, based on the guy who wrote the script said.
Could you have gotten a creepier dude to be in it than Rutger Hauer?
He's seen the, what is it? I forgot the Blade Runner.
I've seen the something ships.
I was going to say, I knew you knew it. I knew you knew that you were going to go. Here we go. And scene.
Yes, I think he may have improvised parts of that.
He wrote that. He wrote he just improvised. Yeah.
Something like Tears in the Rain.
Yeah, Tears in the Rain. Like, God, dude, talk about a dude whipping it out. So also, Robbie and Ray, when they got back together, they called the band Doors of the 21st Century, but they didn't ask John to play in 2002. John basically prevented them from using it. They became Riders on the Storm. And that was the reunion name of Robbie and Ray.
It should have been Hitchhiker in the road. Gang, 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 gang. He's a drifter. Oh, I love drifters. All right, let's do some facts and get out of here. What do you got, Morty?
This is a fun one. So after Morrison died, his Elektra label mate Iggy Pop from the Stooges was considered as a replacement. So
that could have been really cool.
Iggy was you could tell he was a huge Jim Morrison fan too. If you look at early stuff, not as talented in his voice, because they came from different places.
Iggy can't really sing at all, but man, can he gyrate. I went to go see Iggy and the Stooges when they got back together with, we talked about this, with Mike Watt. I saw Mike Watt on bass and and the real band, except for whoever the original, who's the guy that died? The Ashton that died. One of them played. Ron, but the other one that died, and so Mike Watt played bass, and I got to meet him. I have the funniest picture. I'll post that because it's such a funny picture of me, Iggy Pop, him sticking his head out of a limousine in the alley of the 930 Club in Washington, D.C. So I want to ask you, David. We talked about SNL. We mentioned it. What did you learn from your time at SNL?
Oh, you have to know your target and hit it.
Yeah,
right on.
Know exactly where you're going, because then it's all left to chance.
Yeah.
And I can't say that I've actually done that. I mean, my design has never been like, oh, I want this and this and this. I just want to be good. I've always all I wanted was respect to my peers. And then even that, you're like, okay, what if you get that? Then what? Like, oh, I don't know, just more of that. Well, that's not enough. You know, if you want to keep going in show business, so to me, but I always know that I'm going to work forever. It's like, how much do you want to work? You know, so. But the other thing I always tell people: read Outliers. It takes 10,000 hours. Do your work. And want to be good. Don't want to be famous. Be good.
Completely. I couldn't agree with that more.
That's amazing.
You can always tell the people in Los Angeles, the comedians that want to be famous.
Yeah.
I don't want to be famous. I don't want to care about celebrities. If I could be John Leguizamo, I'd be the happiest guy in the world. John Leguizamo is in a bunch of shit. He probably gets courtside seats at the Lakers games every time he wants to go, but he's not like, he could go out to eat and you have no idea who he is. I want that. So I just want to work. I just want to make enough money to support a family, work on good projects and people. And like you said, be respected. That's why I'm in New York. Because I want to be respected. And I know this is where the best comics in the world are working out every night.
Yeah. Did you move? You're not out there just for a short time?
No, I'm going to be splitting time, but I'm going to be out here for the foreseeable future. I got a place on the Upper East Side. I'm still going to be coming back for the goddamn comedy jam. Okay. Like once a month, I'm going to be. So I'll figure it out. But right now, it's exciting, and I just love it here. I love New York City. I'm having a great time. The food's great, and it's just I got past the comedy cellar.
Yeah, I was going to say congrats on getting.
Thank you, buddy. I'm just having a blast. I'm having a blast, and I think you maybe you don't agree with this. What I'm about to say, David, but it's like I just connect with a lot of the comics out here in New York. Like we're in LA, it just feels. I'm friends with a lot of people, but I'm not close with a lot of them. I'm very close with a lot of the New York comics where I feel like it's a family and I just never did time here. And I'm 41. I might as well just try it now. I can always go back.
Now's the time. That's good for you, man. Fuck
thanks, buddy.
But to me, the whole comedy community is one big community. I don't like differentiate between one and another. All my hardcore buddies are improvisers from Chicago. So, you and I came up through a different stream. I didn't start as a stand-up. So even when I do stand-up, I always felt like an interloper. Like they're all like, who the fuck is this guy? But, God bless. You keep learning. You're like, this is just another school of study. That's fantastic.
I just want to be the best that I can possibly be. And in LA, I feel like I've reached my potential on growth because there's just not enough stage time. And the stage time I do get isn't always the best. So out here, it's like, I've got like 5 comedy clubs that are like, can you do a show here tonight? And I'm like, yes. And it's great. Last night was my first real night off and I only did 2 shows. So yeah, man. All right, Morty, what else you got?
Yeah. So the Changeling, so this is what I was going to tell you about when this was recording. The Changeling was the first song recorded specifically for the album, but they recorded L'America for the Michelangelo Antonioni movie, Zabriskie Point, almost a year before the rest of these songs. But he turned it down. But here's how he turns it down. Reportedly, he goes to visit them in the studio, and they basically play it full volume and just completely overwhelm him with this just intensity. And he goes like, thank you, and walks out, and he passes. He passes on using it. But by the way, he passed on using. So for those of you who don't know, he did a movie called Blow Up, which was he had the Yardbirds in it. It's a famous, very artsy 60s hipster movie with the photographer. It's great. It's
not to be confused.
Powers, yeah.
Not to be confused with Blown Away with Corey Feldman, Nicole Eggert, and Corey Haim, where Nicole Eggert's naked throughout the whole movie. Watch it, everybody.
Right. Or Blowout with John Travolta.
Alone. Watch it alone.
Although the Blowout with John Travolta is similar. Sorry, go on.
Thank you also, Morty, for not having me have to read Michelangelo Antonioni and Zabriskie Point, because I would have chunked that.
You said it pretty good right there. Yeah.
Well, because I heard you. I heard you.
Yeah. No. So it's a real. And as far as art stuff goes, they were film students. Jim and Ray were film students, and this, Antonio was one of those. He's even mentioned in the Hair soundtrack. He's one of those guys during that time that was on the new wave of hipster. You go watch Blow Up. Go watch Blow Up, everybody.
Yeah, and watch Blown Away.
Yeah.
All right. Exactly. David, I want to ask you. You've worked with so many great people. Some of the most talented people in the world. Who have you worked with that has blown you away?
Gosh, you hesitate to draw it down to one, right? Because there's so many good ones. But I just say recently I worked with J.K. Simmons again, and I've had the good fortune of working with him 4 times, and he's just the fucking best. I love him. So J.K. Simmons, for those uninitiated, he's in your Farmers commercials. But before that, he was in a ton of different series, and he was on Broadway. And then after he became a pitchman for Farmers, then he went out and won an Oscar for
Spotlight.
Whiplash.
Whiplash.
And that's another movie that if you want to watch a great film, Whiplash is, it's damn near perfect. I remember watching that movie and in the theater, and then like my dad always said when he saw The Exorcist, he watched it and then he stayed in the theater again to watch it again. And I did the same thing with Whiplash. I watched it back to back because I loved it that much. And JK is just, that's what sucks about you do a commercial and you get everybody's going to go, oh, Farmers Insurance, and you're like, this guy's got.
I know, but he's the first guy that went and did that, had a career, then goes, okay, I'll do commercials now, then comes back and gets the fucking Oscar.
Good for him, yeah.
He just did Netflix Invincible. He's one of the voices on Invincible that I just watched recently. He plays the dad on that, and then Juno. God, he was great in Juno.
He's amazing.
He's great in everything.
Yeah.
Me and you, I was going to say this is because you're talking about you're an incredible. You're like, okay, this isn't blowing smoke. I'm saying is I talk about character actors. You know, the character actors of the past, that guys where you're like, I don't necessarily know their name, but they're in every fucking movie I loved. You were saying a worker amongst workers. Man, if you can be that guy, because you said this, you'll work forever.
Yep.
You will work forever. They'll be like, oh, Anchorman. But then it'll be, he was, thank you for smoking. Or like, so like to be a character actor, man, to be lucky enough to be able to be a character actor, people trade it off. Like it's, you need to be a great bass player. You can be the singer, but you're singer, you better die at 27. Bass player, you can be 90 and still be a cool cat on bass.
What was the organ you referenced earlier?
Farfisa.
Farfisa. That's what I was thinking. I'm a Farfisa.
You're a Farfisa, dude.
Organ, man.
Fully Farfised. You're Farfisa.
So I'll give a quick one on the next one. I don't have to give that whole thing.
Okay, cool.
So basically, prior to this, they had put out a record. They put out a greatest hits album, Electra 13, and then they put out Absolutely Live, which Dave has on vinyl and you can't see if you're listening. But they used older pictures of Jim. So remember, at this point, Jim's got like the beard and he's fat. He does Morrison Hotel where you could see him getting puffy. But they're using these old pictures on records where he's at this point, and he's pissed off at the record company because he wants his art. He had said this to Paul Rothschild, I want to be a poet, and I want it to be tied to what I'm doing right now. So because of it, he forced them to use on this album cover, if you look at it, he's got his beard, he's the same size as the rest of the band. For the other stuff, they would always have him blown up. Even the first album has like his big Jim's head, big Jim, and then the band. For this one, not only has a beard and he's chunky, but apparently he was also drunk.
Yeah. Pull that back up again, Dave.
According to
like
Ray,
just no life behind his eyes. Yeah. No life. That is also a guy that they sat in a chair and said, "Look this way," and he went,
he's
Shake
actually,
Shack,
lower than Shake Shack. I recorded an album before the quarter here. He's lower than everybody else on this album. I think that was on purpose too, wasn't it, Morty?
Slouching, probably.
He went for. Yeah, sorry, go on. No, he just didn't want to be. He was tired of the iconic Jim thing. Because remember, you've got a short period of him being skinny and gorgeous and all that. It was only like 4 or 5 years. So like after that, he was just drinking and eating crap and, but yeah, he very much specifically said, you're going to take a picture of me and I'm going to be the same size. In fact, I'm going to be like lower than them, same size. And I'm going to be sitting because I can't stand because I've been drinking all day.
Oh,
yeah. And that, by the way, that record, the place you're talking about, the Shake Shack thing, for a while, that was a bar. It was next to El Pollo Loco.
I think I remember it. Yeah. Well,
and
it was it was the Palms, right?
No, Palms is further down.
We were going to the Palms, not the restaurant. Maybe it was just called Palms.
The lesbian club.
The lesbian bar.
Yeah.
That was where I remember. David, do you remember? Tammy Jo Deeren, right? She does the shows at the Comedy Store. I'm almost positive she's probably reached out to book you. She used to run a show there, and she used to put me and Angelo up, and that was how we saw the LA Woman thing. I mean, that whole block has just been like demolished now.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's
is there a sign up there anymore or no?
No, they used to have. In fact, in the bathroom of the bar when they had it there, they used to have a plaque up in the bathroom that said, "This is where Jim cut his vocals." Because I told you he recorded. So for a while, the plaque was up there that said he recorded his vocals in this space that you're pissing.
So I've got the picture somewhere. I'm praying it's on my Facebook. Like I've posted it. Fucking 2009. No. We were by 2009. You were maybe. I mean, I was still doing MySpace, but I remember Facebook was starting to really gain steam. And also, you know what? For all the shit about social media, there is some the fact that there are those pictures out there that are just live on the internet and give you at least a place. I mean, I'll find that picture, everybody, and I will post it on my Instagram this week. All right, for time, we're going to skip the question. So let's get into the next fact, Morty.
Okay, here's the last one. So they recorded several other songs for this album, including something called Orange County Suite, which you can get on a later release like compilation, which is interesting to listen to. They they did the music later, so it's not technically the Doors at the time, but it finishes it off. And then another of Jim's songs from this era was something called Paris Blues. Now, it only exists as an unheard and a really badly damaged cassette, but some of the lyrics were going to the city of love, gonna start my life over again. Once I was young, now I'm getting old. Once I was warm, now I feel cold. Well, I'm going overseas, gonna grab me some of that gold.
Wow.
So a lot of people have talked about whether or not, even Ray really entertained this for a long time. People would be like, do you think Jim's still alive? Do you think? But, he knew he was going to Paris. He thought, I think he thought he might dry out or whatever it was, or nobody knows if he got a hot shot of dope or if he, if he just drank himself to death or whatever it is, because it's still very mysterious. But just the fact that he had this thing called Paris Blues, and then he went to Paris and died a few months later.
I have, David, have you, and both, all three of you guys, three, not you, Adam, you just sit there staring at the screen. I don't even know why you're in the shot. You're in the YouTube videos for some reason. You say
He's
nothing.
Pretty. I like it.
I've been to Jim's grave in Paris. I went when I was 20. No, I wasn't even 20. I was 18 years old.
Wow.
And it's really sad because there's every other tombstone in that cemetery. I forget what the cemetery is called. Has writing on it in graffiti, being like pointing the direction to Jim's grave. And it's but like I mean it's still this. It's really cool. There's still people there every day. It's like he's obviously with the only 6 records. I mean, this guy, and you can hear it. Even this, the legend. It's like, I don't think if he doesn't go to Paris and pass away, and that would be cool if he is just living on an island somewhere, laughing at all of us, writing incredible poetry. And, but I don't think that, we're sitting here talking about this band. Do you? I mean, do you guys think that there's this, if he doesn't die, we're here? Do you know what I mean?
See the burnout. That's the thing is, if you could take here's why this is an interesting thing, because people say this all the time. They're like, if John Lennon didn't die at that point, listen, if John Lennon didn't die, there would have been some kind of Beatle reunion. Because you could say this, John, you never in a million years, I never thought I'd see the surviving members of Pink Floyd get back together.
Guns N' Roses,
the Replacements. I never thought I'd see any of those people with just the amount of ire between these people, the constant shitting on each other in the press and the fighting. And, and also human beings tend to, as they get older, get a little doughier, get a little gray. It's not a young person's business. It's rock and roll. And to stay beautiful in rock and roll is incredibly difficult. And you usually have to have a fallow period in the weeds. Neil Young had to go away to come back. Like Dylan had to go away to come back. And so I don't know that Morrison would have survived that. I don't know that good. Can you imagine him in the 80s with a fucking skinny tie? With his thick, and Ray's playing a fucking Juno 60.
Give me a hit. Give me a hit.
Yeah.
Where's your Pizzicotti? What is it called again?
Farfisa.
Your Farfisa.
Yeah, but they would have gone for Farfisa. He would have been like, I mean, the fact that Ray did the punk rock thing is rad. The fact that Ray produced X really was forward thinking.
Yeah.
But, look at Jim. Jim as a singer poet, he might have done poetry. He might have gone out like one of those City Light dudes that wrote a bunch of poetry books, and people are like, yeah, this is real cool, dude.
Or maybe he may have become a filmmaker. Who knows?
Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah, maybe just a different act and just a different form of media. But but who knows? I listen. I hate to say that I'm glad the story is this, tragic as it is, but it's romantic. It's beautiful, and even dying in a bathtub in Paris, it's something that I don't wish on anybody, but man, it just makes that legend so legendary.
Yeah.
And his epitaph. Right. So I'm sorry. So you saw his epitaph. I don't know. Was the head still there when you went?
Yes.
Okay, because that has been years. So you guys know there was a bust of Jim's head at his gravesite, and they removed it because people were kissing it and fucking it.
By the way, though, like, just to give you an idea, I was 18 years old and finally legal to drink in Europe. So I was drunk the entire 6.5 months I was in Europe because I was backpacking with a friend. And let me tell you, I mean, we would go way too young to appreciate anything. Like, we would go to, like, we're at the Vatican. We're like, this is great. Is there a bar around here? Because that's what we want to do.
Yeah, more importantly, yes.
I did the same thing. And on his grave for you, so you guys out there, this is Jim in a nutshell. It's in Greek. It's kataton daimona etoi, which basically means true to his own spirit.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's
love
his
that.
epitaph.
I love that. All right, David, I got a couple rapid questions, and then you are done, sir. And I mean this. This was a fun one today, boys. This really was a fun one. I love this. Can we because we used to do every song. Cut this part out, Peter, that I'm saying right here. But we used to do every song, and this could have gone on with the amount of talking. It could have gone on for 2.5 hours, 3 hours. We've had some epic episodes, and it's just like I'm Morty. Great job. I had so much fun today, bud. All right. Rapid questions. Here we go. Favorite song on this record?
Shit. LA Woman.
All right. Least favorite song on this record?
Hyacinth House.
All right. If you could only be stuck with one Doors record the rest of your life, what are you picking?
Shit. I guess it's this one.
Really?
Yeah, because it is the culmination. And it's got so many different, drastic, cool songs. Oh, shit, Strange Days. Oh.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, shit.
I know. Well, how many more records of the Doors are on the list, Morty? Do you know?
I don't know. I haven't actually looked at it because I'm afraid, but we've had 2 so far.
Afraid?
Because you start going like, how long do I have to wait until I get to, Morrison Hotel or whatever else?
Oh, Morrison Hotel's on here. I've seen it on here. I'm almost positive it's on here.
I mean, I imagine the first album's got to be on there because, except for Soft Parade, which is the one that even that has Touch Me on it. That's the record that's kind of looked at as kind of their low point where they went over there. But even that one, listen to the actual song Soft Parade, for you that don't know it, that's a really interesting listen. But they were still going for something on that they didn't exactly hit, and they added the horns and stuff to that record. So you end up with Touch Me, which up until that point didn't have that same dun 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 dun, So that's an interesting one. But now he's totally in it. Now he's on Waiting.
Touch me, babe.
Waiting on he's on Waiting on the Sun. Yeah.
All right, what do you got, David? Yeah. You got 5 seconds. You got to pick.
LA Woman.
Oh,
okay. I'll take it. All right. And last question, we ask this every episode. Does this record deserve to be on the 500 greatest albums list?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, without a doubt.
And why?
Why? Because it is quintessential Doors. I believe the Doors have been an incredibly influential band. And this, I think, encapsulates a lot of what their sound would do. That would inspire a lot of different musicians. I don't know that for sure because I'm not a musician, but there's so many different wonderful sounds on this thing. And like that, this leaps off into the legend. So from there, yes.
No, I agree. David, this was fantastic. I mean this
pleasure.
from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for taking time out to do it. It's long overdue because I tried to get you for Big Star. Remember I'm
glad we finally got it done.
But no, this was even better because did you have all the Big Star albums on vinyl too? Yeah.
And also swear to God, played this last week before you asked me on that little phonograph I have upstairs.
No shit.
Phonograph's a record player.
I have to ask one thing everybody wants to know. Any chance of Anchorman 3?
I hope so. Remember, there were 11 years between Anchorman 1 and Anchorman 2, so we got a couple years to go. And so let's just say yes. I'll say yes, so that'll put it out there so people start talking about it again.
Hold
on. Let's do it.
I got to ask this then because you brought it up. I didn't even think about it. Give me your favorite Anchorman moment. Take us out on something.
Favorite moment, it's tough. The first week that we shot Anchorman 1, myself and Paul Rudd and Steve Carell had we were all married and we were all in one trailer. It's called a 3-banger. So we're sharing one long trailer in 3 different rooms. And we'd hang out in each other's room. And with the first week of shooting Anchorman 1, all of us had gone home and said to our wives, I'm not keeping up. There's no way I can do this. Everyone's better than me. So that was very cool. That all of us felt like, oh, shit, everyone's great in this movie but me. So that was kind of fun.
Oh, wow.
That is great.
Yeah.
That is great. It really is. It's just it's perfect, man. Everything you've done, I've really enjoyed it. And we get to know you over the years.
You guys are both on F is for Family. That's the one thing we didn't
There you go.
There it is, buddy.
You guys are both voices on F is for Family.
It is.
That's a feather in the cap for sure.
I'm bummed. I'm bummed that we did the last table read, and I mean, you know, it's a bummer.
Did you do the last series or the last?
I've done it actually. My last. I'm only in like 2 episodes this season, and
Pogo up there.
Yeah.
What's funny was the day that I recorded my VO was on the election day.
Ah,
I remember that. I was like, you know, it was just such a weird day, and you know, to do it on top of that, it was like I didn't know, I couldn't even process that I was recording my last voiceover for it because you know this was huge election, but you know, hey, turned out pretty good.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, turned out okay. All right.
Now we just had to take 2022 because that's the other last grasp at killing democracy. So
I know, man.
Everybody. Be diligent.
We'll be on the front lines.
We will
throwing fists and everything.
David, anything you want to promote, buddy? Go ahead.
I guess America's Top Dog drops on A&E June 29th, folks. It's a family, fun, friendly show about canine competition.
Nice. Morty, you got anything?
Yeah, absolutely. Follow me on Twitter. It's DJ Morty Coyle. Apparently Clubhouse is dead, according to Josh.
Dead, bro. It's dead. Stop it.
No, dude, I don't even go there anymore. It's like a ghost town.
Told you, dude. I told you, man.
All the Android people came in there, and I see their green dots, and I'm done with it.
You're done, dude.
No. So that's there. Follow B and Daddy Cartoons. I'm fortunate my daughter actually does let me show her my music and sing with me. So B and Daddy Cartoons on Instagram.
The coolest kid, David. Like B is just. I mean, I love her so much, man. She knows he's taken her to every concert. She's seen everybody live. She's going to be one of the hippest like high school students in the world. So
that's awesome.
She goes to theatrical school and God help me. But yeah, so and Fokker Force 5 Tuesday nights. I play with, as I said, Dan Rothschild and a bunch of the guys from the Kibitz Room from back in the day. We play live online Tuesday nights about 8-ish Pacific Standard Time and Jewish Standard Time. And then that's on Facebook Live. You can find us on there, Fokker Force 5. And then a shout out to Michael Dutcher, one of the Fleece Army guys, somebody that likes staying in Twitter, talks about this. Please talk about this episode. All the Fleece Army listening, please put in your favorite stuff. Bring it up. We love seeing what you guys love about the episodes. We love seeing we love reading what you guys love about these songs. What stuff turns you on? Please don't.
You guys are just as big as part of this as me and Morty and JT and Adam and our guests. So you know, involve yourselves in it, and we'll make this even more fun. So dude, big shout out to all of them.
My final thought is the patience of Adam Bernard is astounding.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you very much.
He might have died at 27, and we just have him sitting there.
David, thank you so much, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Great to see you. Best of luck in New York. All right.